Hello guys, how you guys doing today? Welcome to Libra TV and thank you so much for being here. So today's video I'll be talking about the UFC 271, okay, headlining Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker. Okay, this fight will be a tremendous fight for sure, and the cool main event is Middleweight versus Thai. Okay, that's another good fight, you know. So guys, I'll be breaking things down and I will walk you guys through the journey on how we got here. Yeah, first let's start with Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya, he was born in Nigeria. He moved down to New Zealand when he was little, and he started mixed martial arts in New Zealand back in March 2012, and his first fight was against James Griffith.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less. Your check as I'm chess, what's happening now?
Which ended up as a technical knockout. So he got a W in his first fight as a mixed martial art. So fast forward to 2018 when Israel Adesanya made his first debut in the UFC, and that was the UFC 221. He fought Rob Wilkinson.
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed?
That fight ended up as a knockout in the second round. Israel been doing well so far, and he's been averaging about 2 to 3 fights a year. Now, fast forward to October 2019 when Israel fought Whittaker. That was a second round knockout. He knocked Whittaker out in the second round. And that was his 7th fight in the UFC and his 3rd knockout in the UFC. You know, Israel dominated the fight from start to finish. He knocked Whittaker down. He really played the fight well in terms of significant strike. In terms of strike, Israel dominated the fight. So there wasn't any takedown during the fight. Both fighters fought standing up. Israel Adesanya, his kickboxing background and his boxing background really helped him a lot. He accumulated over 100 fights in his kickboxing and boxing background. So after his fight against Whittaker, Israel went and won his fight against Romero, Paulo Costa, and Marvin Vittori. Okay, so he went and won those fights, and he lost to one man, Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz fight was for a light heavyweight belt, so Israel Adesanya moved up in weight to fight Jan in potential fight against John Jones, but he lost the fight against Jan by decision. So Jan later lost his fight to Glover by a real neck choke, but that's a story for another day. Glover is now the light heavyweight champion of the world. Regardless of Israel losing his fight against Jan, Israel and Jones has been going at each other on Twitter. They've been talking smack on Twitter. And this might be a potential fight. Now let's talk about Whittaker. Whittaker was born in New Zealand, but he started his career in Australia 4 years before Israel Adesanya started his career. His first fight was against Chris Talloway, which ended up won 7 wins in a row without losing, but he lost to Hong King by a neck choke back in 2011. Now fast forward to 2019, before the Israel's fight, he lost to Steve Wonderboy Thompson by a TKO. In the first round, he lost to Kurt G by decision, and he lost to Jesse by decision. After losing his fight against Israel, he went on and picked up a W against Darren Till, Jared, and Kevin Gastelum. So altogether, he accumulated 5 losses in his career. In terms of stats, Israel Adesanya had all the advantage moving forward. In terms of height, Israel is 1.93, Whittaker is 1.83. Reach, Israel have more reach than Whittaker. Now you know all about the fighters. The key for Israel winning this fight would be keeping the fight standing up. He's a good stand-up guy. I think if he keeps the fight standing up, he has a chance of winning the fight. The key to Whittaker winning this fight is full pressure, apply his wrestling. I think if he do that, he has a chance to win the fight. So Israel already talking about how this fight will go. He said he will dominate this fight wherever this fight goes. So I'm guessing his wrestling is good.
Hey Izzy, one of the questions I wanted to ask you after not seeing you for so long is, this is the second rematch in a row. Is it more difficult or easier, or how hard is it to get up for a rematch?
For me, not so hard. For me, it's I won't even say more difficult, but there's a, because everyone expects me to watch this guy the same way everyone expected me to watch Vittori. So it's the pressure I put on myself, that I have to dominate in every facet of this fight. Grappling, stand up against the fence on the clinch, anywhere the fight goes. So I put that pressure on myself because I expect better of myself, and I want to make sure I show out even better than the first time I face the opponent.
So Whittaker, during his interview, he talked about being emotional during their first fight in the UFC 259.
So does that change the dynamic of a fight? Because
it did, because the last fight I was kind of very emotional. I was in a bad place for the sport itself, for my career, and I got a bit emotional in that fight, just because I don't like him very much, on top of everything else that was going on.
How do you mean emotional? Like you lost your process? Like when you're emotional?
I lost my cool. I lost my cool. I wasn't really fighting like I should fight, like I normally fight.
And he said he lost his cool. And a lot of UFC fighters has been predicting how this fight will go. And most of the fighters said Israel might pick up the win.
But the counter-striking of Adesanya is where Whittaker's going to have his problems. I think that's how I ended up defeating him as well, was just the counter-punching he had problems with. So I'm leaning towards Adesanya.
So maybe it's going to be interesting to see if he incorporates some wrestling after the Danahovic fight. See if he's going to use some other. But yeah, I'll give the edge to Izzy.
You know, he won the first time, so you have to give the edge to Israel Adesanya. But Robert Whittaker is a tough individual.
Izzy. Israel, he's too good, man.
But we cannot disregard Whittaker. So that's all I have for you guys today. What do you guys think? Will Israel pick up the W? Or will Whittaker pick up the W? Or will this fight go to a draw? What do you guys think? How will this fight go between Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker? Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to Libra TV. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Thanks. Peace.